Hi everyone, this is Lorraine Driscoll, founder of Building Better Brains, and today I am going to actually give you the demo or show you the demo of the cognitive technology-based reading therapy that is part of my 6-month Reading Rockstar Bootcamp program, which addresses everything from the nutritional components of what can be underneath reading problems and dyslexia, doing movement exercises, as well as the cognitive reading therapy, which is technology-based, which I'm going to show you right now. So as I'm kind of showing you the demo, I'm going to pause and so forth, just to explain to some extent what it's doing on a neurological level to change the way that the brain is processing and how it can improve reading fluency and competency and so forth. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to share my screen with you. And okay, so I have it already started. And I'm going to stop, I'm going to just do the first one. I'm going to let it go through and then I'll explain what it does.
Left side to the right side to make the same pattern.
So what I'm doing is I'm moving the bees from, as he said, from the left side to the right side. And I always tell my students to work their way across, especially if eye tracking is weak, because this will help to make it an easier process. They're not going to feel like they're jumping all over and having to kind of count the honeycombs in order to place it in the right spot. They'll be able to do it better through just their visual processing. Oops. And so this looks really easy. I'm doing it really quickly.
Now drag the bees from the right side to the left side to make the same pattern.
Because I'm not dyslexic, and also I've had lots of practice doing this. This can be quite the challenge for people who have reading difficulties, to the point where it's not uncommon for them to be moving the bees and doing the mirror image instead of what I'm doing right now. So the bees and the honeycombs also get smaller as we as this program progresses, so it will get more challenging, and this will move a little faster as well. Okay, so I'm going to pause that just for a minute, and I'm going to just briefly explain what that scene you just saw does on a very neurological level. So this is the one we just did was called Switzerland. It addresses saccadic eye movements, eye tracking, as well as convergence and divergence, so the ability of the eyes to kind of go in and go out and so forth. So the rotating octagon foreground addresses what is known as the vestibular component, and it interacts with what is known as ocular eye movement and orientation. Okay, so this then targets the central vision as well as the peripheral vision, and simultaneously, which is really, really important that the both are working together at the same time. So also, because the octagons are working in front of the bees, the visual perception or visual closure is also targeted. So teachers used to typically, or it's quite common that they did visual closure activities. You could even find books on that in the past. I mean, they do exist still, but they're very highly discouraged in the education system. They're considered kind of busy work and not productive. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to
these hidden words and place them on the lines.
Actually, sorry, I'm going to explain first what this does, because maybe then it'll be easier to take in and understand what the point is. So this one is called Morocco, and Morocco improves saccadic eye movements. And so it's the ability to kind of jump your eyes to go from one target to another and so forth, okay? Eye tracking, visual closure, as we've just talked about, visual discrimination, as well as visual placement.
The fat cat.
So we're moving that. And again, this is like, I could grab fat right now. A typical child could be going through here at, you know, a much slower speed in order to find the right correct word. It's not uncommon for them to mix up
pig
the with 10, for example, to not be able to find it at all. Sometimes they really need support with that. Big and pig. So like I said, I'm doing this like a pro. This is not how children do it when they first start.
The red bed.
And typically what I do is have kids go across, right? Like with their little flashlight, I tell them.
Listen for the word. Catch the ball with the match.
Okay, so this one is called Canada. And this addresses auditory processing speed as well as response speed. So auditory processing speed refers to how the brain registers information and sends that information to the cortex. So that's our higher brain level, or our higher order thinking, if you will. So the response speed is how we respond to the message that reached the cortex, right? So that timing, reaction time, all that type of stuff. And the auditory and visual cues in this game target visual and auditory attention as well as visual closure. The movement also works on ocular vestibular interaction. So again, that visual processing piece.
Word and place it into its designated area. Lack.
So so he's saying lack quite slowly. He's really taking his time. That helps to improve
back.
Phonemic awareness, auditory processing. This helps to improve timing. I'm getting better at as I'm doing it more. And then matching as well the sounds to the symbols. And then sometimes this one comes to me and all of a sudden, well, there we go. Also with differentiating sound parcels. So sell versus well versus tell.
Find the right word and play.
Okay, so this one is known as Egypt. Yes, sorry. Okay, so this is the visual components plus the blended contrast. So we've done a lot so far on visual processing, and then we're adding a little bit more of a challenge in here. So the moving text that you're going to see targets the vestibular ocular interaction. So that's the balance system that affects the eyes as well. And all of this works together with timing. So if any of these things are off or not working together, we're going to have problems. So it does that while searching helps to work on tracking. Okay, so basically the busier the background, and it becomes busier, right, as it becomes more challenging. So the busier the background becomes, the more we are working on blended contrast with the same element on visual closure. Okay, so
place it onto the cloud. As in ant.
So we're going to take our ant, we're putting it there. That's pretty straightforward.
Now find the missing letters to spell the word.
So I'm going to grab A, for example, and put it on the line.
As in ball.
Those letters are going to start to fall down faster. What I like is these B's, ball. T's, and B's really help to improve visual discrimination with kids who tend to do these reversals. And this is where we will see kids improve quite a bit within a few weeks usually. Within a few weeks, they improve their reverse. They're not reversing nearly as much, if at all.
As in dog. As in dog.
Okay, and again, this is easier for me. It looks simple.
Egg.
And
find the right word and play.
So, and I just want to say, for some kids, it can be still easy-ish, and yet it's doing a whole lot on the brain. This is not a video game. This is not about winning. This is an exercise. So whether it's easy or not, I've had adults come in here who are able to do it. And it can make massive improvements. Because even though it looks like a video game, it's not a video game. It's not about making it more and more challenging. And if it's not challenging enough, then there's no point. Okay, so this one is Scotland. That's coming up, rainy Scotland. So that works on the decoding, both of the auditory and visual systems that are required for decoding. So basically visual foreground, visual background, and visual memory are what is exercised in this particular scene. Delayed timing basically gives the brain time to catch up with what has to be decoded and to be able to put it together. And that is what
Place it onto the cloud. B, ban.
Okay, so again, it seems
Great.
similar.
Now find the missing letters to spell the word.
But the rain adds a little bit more of a challenge. The letters are falling a bit faster, I find.
Ban.
And I always tell my students to do it in order, right? That helps. That's just a kind of common sense approach. And again, you're really improving that visual processing and auditory processing, because he's really sounding out those words. He's elongating them. It helps to create some really excellent sound distinction.
Listen to the sentence, then pick the...
Okay, so this one is what is known as, I'm just gonna grab my paper here, this is called Australia, and this works on active working memory as well as increasing or improving working memory. Okay, so basically this involves targeting the automaticity of decoding skills, again, both the visual and the auditory processing. So visual cues for younger students, creates an overlay from the right to the left side of the brain and provides an easier transition to lexicon, which will create more meaning and make it more easier to bridge from the picture thinking that younger children tend to do to the lexicon thinking of symbols and more abstract type of stuff as we kind of develop and so forth. Okay.
Word for the meaning of the sentence and place it into the box. Ball. My sister kicked the ball to my brother. Ball.
So it seems pretty straightforward. Just looks like homonyms, and it definitely helps with that.
Links.
Sure.
Chains are made of many links.
But also works on all those other aspects that I mentioned.
Doe. We saw a doe and her fawn on our hike. Listen to the sentence, then pick the word for the meaning of the sentence and place it into the box. Bear. The bear left scratch marks on the tree. Bear. Peace. Working towards peace is a noble goal. Peace.
So for younger children, there will be pictures. Older kids, not so much, or not at all.
Loot. We buried our... Pick the right word.
Okay, so this one is China. This improves auditory processing. You have the elongated words, really drawn out and pronounced, improving then phonemic awareness. And that provides the process, or the opportunity, if you will, to process the individual components of a word and then to close the sounds to formulate complete words. Okay, so I'm going to show you.
Place it into the square. Tan. Dan.
And for kids who do struggle, like pan, ban, dan, that can be a real, they're not, because they're mixing up the B's and the D's and so forth.
Pan. Find the word in...
Okay, so this one is by far probably the most challenging one. And I wouldn't say it's like super challenging, but in that I usually have my students do there's an activity printable they can do before they actually do this technology. And I usually have them get a hang of how Pig Latin works first, in terms of both putting it into Pig Latin and then bringing it back from Pig Latin and so forth. So basically switching back and forth from Pig Latin to English and English to Pig Latin. And so this one is called Holland, and it works on visual closure, working memory, word attack, word recognition, decoding, coding, and comprehension. And again, a lot of these activities we used to do in school. Again, these are highly discouraged in this current education system in North America in general. they're often considered really silly activities that are just considered busy work.
Pig Latin, and put it onto the line.
So we have the word cat. Pig Latin is when we put the C or the first letter at the end of the word and add an A. So we're looking for ATCA. And so you can see why I have kids get the hang of it on paper before they actually start doing it in the game. So then again, bug, we're looking for UGBA, and there we have it. And the younger guys, by the way, just love the sounds that this game makes. So again, we're looking for UTCA. And it's probably hiding. Where is it hiding here? There we go. Okay. So now we're looking for IMDA.
Decode the Pig Latin words, then find the correct words and put them onto the lines.
And now we're going to see it's in Pig Latin and we have to bring it back to English. So we drop the A, we bring the N to the front, and then we have the word nice. We find that and we put it on the line. We drop the A, put the T at the front. We're looking for the word try. Usually it takes much longer to find this. It can be a challenging process at first. And again, nothing is happening for no reason. That windmill is moving, again, to improve all those other aspects with visual processing that was mentioned. So we're looking for the word new and the word guy. And we are looking for the word red, which is not always an easy thing to do with that windmill just going around and around. Okay, there we go.
Drag the colored hexagons from the left side to the right side to make the same pattern.
Okay, so this one is pretty much the exact same thing as the bees. The only difference is that instead of bees, there is colors. I find this one can actually be a little bit more challenging, which is good because the colors kind of blend in with the windmill in the foreground. And so it just makes the eyes have to work a little bit harder. So we're dragging, for example, this red one over to the same spot. As you can see, the hexagons are already smaller, making it a little bit more challenging, nothing that kids can't handle. And so far, I've had all kinds of different reading levels, and I've also had everything from nonverbal autistic children to children who are developmentally delayed do this program with good results. So it's, I would so far say there's no one who's been like, I can't do this, it's just too hard. And that's what I think is really nice too, to be able to tell the kids, it's not about the program being hard. At this point, we just want to retrain the brain. We just want to we need to exercise it. It's like a muscle that needs to be nourished and exercised.
Now drag the colored hexagons from the right side to the left side to make the same pattern.
So again, this helps to work the left and the right side of the brain because we're doing crossover. As always, you want to have your child sitting in the middle of the screen. And you also, oops, this is what happens when you're talking and explaining and doing this at the same time. You also want to make sure that they're not really moving their head too much. I mean, we're not asking them to be a statue, but that they're using their eyes to track and team and do the work. And they're not getting into all of these weird little competencies that they've developed where they, put their hand here and they don't realize they're tilting because one eye is stronger than another and so forth. Oops. Okay, we're going to go down here first, and then I'm going to grab from there. So some of the tricks you can do. Okay, and then this would come up. Congratulations, you got so many points, and that tends to always increase. Typically what you would do at the end, if you're actually doing the real program, you're clicking on that little circle thing going around and submitting, and then you're gonna, as you do every session, you're gonna see a bar graph pop up with turquoise bars, which is gonna show the increase, progress, and so forth. So that is, I'm just gonna try stop share, there we go. And so basically that is Read LS. That's how the program works. You can hop onto my website, you can give me a call. you can just send me an email and I can send you some more information with how Read LS works, as well as the full program, because my program, Reading Rockstar Bootcamp, is much more than just Read LS. I want to really make sure the brain is getting the nourishment it needs, getting the nutrients it needs, because we can try and build those connections all we want. It's like trying to work out and build muscle. And believe me, I did do this when I was in university. I didn't eat any protein and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't building muscle. And someone I know who had worked with a trainer said, well, you have to feed those muscles or they're not going to build. And it's the same thing with reading. We got to make sure we're giving the brain the essential nutrients to ensure that those connections can be built. So for example, DHA, which is what is most of the connections between neurons, so what are called axons, are made up of DHA. So if you're not getting enough DHA, it's going to be really hard for your brain to build those connections, no matter how much cognitive therapy you're doing. If you have a genetic condition where dyslexia runs in your family, it could be that your family doesn't convert DHA very well, that you're prone to omega-3 deficiency because of a genetic issue that I help to work with clients to address and kind of dig deep and understand what's going on, how are genetics at play, or how is just other factors in the diet and so forth at play. So again, thanks for watching, and feel free to send me an email, send me a message, and I'd be happy to chat. Have a great day.